Welcome to Cinema Magic. Today we'll show you a 2016 South Korean horror film, The Wailing. The film centers on a policeman who investigates a series of mysterious killings and illnesses in a remote Korean village called Gokseong in order to save his daughter. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The movie starts with the main character having a meal with his family. While eating, he receives a phone call and leaves to investigate a murder case. In fact, the character is a police officer and his name is Jong-goo. Upon his arrival in the murder area, he sees a strange man handcuffed who was calmly sitting there. The man was murdered and was entirely covered in blood. Upon entering the crime scene, Jong-goo sees two dead bodies that have been roped together after being brutally murdered. His partner officer tells him that these bodies have been brought here after they've been killed. On the other hand, the murderer looks like he suffered from some disease and has rashes all over his body. The police team soon goes to a shed near the house. They confirmed that this was the murder spot as the place was covered totally in blood. That area was very strange, as if someone had performed some kind of black magic there. In the next scene, we see a jungle where a man is hunting when his feet slip, causing him to This causes rashes all over the body, making the villagers murder their families as their eyes glow red. When the wild man comes near him, he sees that it isn't a normal human. It was like some demon or ghost. All of this information was given to the Jong-goo by another cop, but Jong-goo doesn't believe him. He thinks that some kind of poisonous wild mushroom is the cause of the illness. The next day, Jong-goo receives another report of the murder of the whole family after their entire house was burnt down. While investigating, he's attacked by some people who seem to be contaminated, but Jong-goo is saved by other officers. One other day, a woman was observed hanging in the forest. Jong-goo begins to investigate the case. One of his partners tells him that the husband is the prime suspect. Later, Jong-goo's partner calls him in his restaurant and tells him that the Japanese guy he talked about earlier tried to molest a dead woman by the river. Then the dead woman got crazy and started running naked in the middle of the night. She also had infectious skin rashes, and she had been the one who attacked Jong-goo at the previous crime scene. Jong-goo now believes that the Japanese guy is definitely linked with everything happening in the village. While he's at the crime scene of the hung woman, a strange girl named Moo-myung keeps throwing stones at Jong-goo. She enters the crime scene and shows him the murder spot inside the house. The girl informs him that the Japanese stranger infected the woman and is actually a ghost. She warns Jong-goo to be aware of him. Jong-goo calls his partner to come and see the girl, but all of a sudden the girl disappears. At the next scene, Jong-goo goes to the police station. He and his partner then visit to meet the hunter who was featured at the beginning of the movie. That hunter takes them to where he saw him eating an animal. While they were there, suddenly it started raining, and Jong-goo and his partner were left by the hunter. As he attempts to leave, lightning strikes and hits him. Jong-goo and his partner take him to the medical facility. In the hospital, a patient starts getting violent from the infection. The next moment, patient dies immediately after bleeding from the mouth. When Jong-goo returns home, he sees her daughter Hyojin in the same situation as the patient. He got control over her, but her condition changes as she eats a significant amount of fish that she has never eaten before. The following day, Jong-goo's mother suspects that something is wrong with Hyojin. She suggests that they should bring in a shaman to perform an exorcism. Jong-goo meets with a Japanese translator who also happens to be a pastor. They go to the stranger's house and get attacked by his dog. Inside, they find photos of all the people who had been infected and after they had died. They don't know what to make of it, but they understand that something is really off with the stranger, and he's somehow connected to all the deaths. Jong-goo's daughter's shoe is also found amongst other items. Jong-goo questions his daughter about meeting the stranger. His daughter lashes out at him all crazy. He leaves and comes back later at night and is shocked after seeing that she has rashes too. She wakes up and lashes out at him more till they have to restrain her. Jong-goo goes back to the stranger's house and confronts him. In the process, he ends up killing his dog. He then tells the stranger to leave the village in 3 days. Meanwhile, Jong-goo's daughter commits her first murder, which was their neighbor. Soon, the police get to Jong-goo's house. Troubled by the condition of Hyojin, Jong-goo's mother calls a shaman, Il-gwang, to treat her. Well, now we see that majority of people in the village have lost their lives. The next day, as Il-gwang performs his ritual to exorcise the demon, the Japanese man also performs his ritual in his house at the same time. Il-gwang performs his rituals, jumps, dances over the fire, and sacrifices hens. As he stabs the effigy, both Hyojin and the strange Japanese man start screaming in pain and fall unconscious. The Japanese man struggles and drags himself outside the house. While seeing his daughter in pain, Jong-goo interrupts the ritual and takes her to a hospital. As soon as the ritual stops, the Japanese man regains his consciousness. Now the shaman said that there are two options for ending this. The second option is that they must kill the Japanese to end this from all over the village. Meanwhile, Jong-goo collects around his friend to hunt down the Japanese, believing that he's the reason for disease and murders. They gather their weapons and head towards his house. Upon reaching his house, they all started searching for him all around the house but couldn't find him anywhere. But they discover a man on the backside of the house who looks like a zombie. They were about to kill him when the priest intervened, and the odd boy bit the priest and died as a result. At the same time, one of the Jong-goo's friends notices the Japanese man and begins following him to grasp him while he hides from them. Each of them runs through the forest after him, but they lose him over cliffs. Jong-goo, with his pals, reaches all the dead end on a cliff. Jong-goo cries, saying that they must need to find the Japanese to save his daughter from that disease. The Japanese man was hiding on the cliff but could not hold much longer. He falls to the ground and Jong-goo's friend hears a noise but doesn't see him. After spending a lot of time, they drive back. It starts raining and the car slips on the road when they nearly hit a truck approaching them. Jong-goo loses control of his truck and swerves. He gets out of the vehicle with a head injury. As he does, a person lands on his windshield. They step out and see that it's the same Japanese they were chasing. This is bait and Jong-goo takes it. He and his men throw the stranger's body over the cliff and kill him. Jong-goo quickly visited his daughter and was happy to see that her condition had seemingly improved a lot. After killing that Japanese man, Jong-goo believes that everything will get back to normal soon. Well, in the next scene, we see that nothing has become fine. A fellow cop who was a friend of Jong-goo gets infected and kills his family. Il-kwang suspects that they killed the wrong person and tries contacting Jong-goo, but he doesn't answer. He wants to inform Jong-goo that we are still in danger, and his nose suddenly starts bleeding. The shaman drives to Jong-goo's, but on his way, he encounters Moomyong. He suddenly starts bleeding from his mouth and vomits. Il-kwang drives to Jong-goo's. He hallucinates a hailstorm as he drives. He gets out of his car but finds nothing and was very afraid. On the other hand, Jong-goo looks for his daughter but finds her missing from her bed. He then finds Moomyong near his house. When he asks about her daughter, she replies that she's inside the house. "I'm performing a ritual on her, and the Japanese man's black magic will go away soon." She also says that the Japanese is still alive and he's planning to destroy this village. Jong-goo was about to enter the house to take his daughter, and she stopped him and said he shouldn't go inside until he don't hear the sound of a hand and listen to that sound 3 times. Meanwhile, Jong-goo heard only one sound, but still 2 sounds were left to hear. She further tells him that he has sinned by plotting to kill, so he must go through this test of faith. Meanwhile, the deacon goes looking for the Japanese man. He reaches a cave and encounters the still-alive Japanese stranger performing his rituals. The deacon asks the Japanese man if he's a demon, whereas we see Hyojin eating a large amount of fish and was eating more and more. Hyojin started looking strangely, and she watches a knife behind her mother. Soon, Il-kwang calls Jong-goo and tells him not to believe Moomyong, while she in turn tells him Il-kwang is actually in league with a real demon. Jong-goo, in despair, runs to the house to save his daughter. But Moomyong suddenly grabs him and asks him not to go and screams as her body slowly turns white. He was surprised as the girl he was standing with warned him not to enter the house. Now we see the priest asking the Japanese man to tell him who he really is, or otherwise he may suffer. The Japanese man starts talking, and he informs that he's not a ghost but rather a normal man. On the other hand, we see that Jong-goo goes inside the house even after the girl's restriction. He also notices his daughter's hair clip and the clothing of people who had died earlier. Moomyong has these items because that is the way she's able to counter the evil spell. Upon entering, he sees that their daughter has killed the entire family, but despite this, he calls his daughter affectionately. Suddenly, Hyo-hin comes and stands in front of him covered in blood. Meanwhile, in the cave, the Japanese man takes a photo of the deacon and slowly turns into a crippled demon with red eyes. Back at the house, Jong-goo is stabbed by his daughter. The scene cuts to a Japanese man once more who is now in his true form. His skin is strange and his head has 2 horns. Everything around him, including his nails, eyes, and tongue, turns odd. Actually, the girl dressed in white was a good girl with white powers, while the Japanese man was a true devil. The movie ends as Jong-goo lies dying in his home. He remembers happier times with his daughter and assures her he will protect. And that's all about this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay up to date with such interesting movie recap videos.